The board game Impi takes place in the Anglo-Zulu War of 1879, where the British Empire invaded the Zulu Kingdom in South Africa. So, in this board game, you can either play as the Zulu or the British. Everybody's objectives and units are hidden from the other player. Now that you kind of see the concept of the game, now we can actually start talking about the rules. You're going to want to place the board in the middle of wherever you're playing. The Zulu's capital on the board is Alundi. Capitals are represented with little golden stars. The British have Port Natal as their little capital. These capitals are very important, as you'll see very soon. Next, give each player their objective cards. The ones with yellow lettering right there belong to the Zulu, and the ones with red lettering belong to the British player. So yeah, you can see which cards belong to who by just looking at the card back. Make sure you shuffle, and there should be 8 cards for each player. Each nation has units. The units with the British flag behind them, because the unit tokens are double-sided, are British, and then the ones with the question mark belong to the Zulu. So then give each player their units basically, and make sure they're all face down like so. So it should be kind of like this. Then each player receives 3 fortress tokens, 1 watchtower token, and 1 outpost token. The outpost tokens are the ones with the tent on them. Remember, they are double-sided to check, so check both sides to make sure you're grabbing the right one. These tokens are called damage tokens, and they're also double-sided. You can just put them on the side. We won't be using them now. Then each player gets a brown and white reference card. Yeah, so each player gets 2 reference cards. Then grab the unit reference cards, which I'm showing here in slow motion. They're double-sided, and there should be 4 of them. You can put them on the side. They are the cards that tell you what each unit does and how much each one costs. You can look at them at any time. If you did everything correctly, the board should look like this. Then decide who will go first. In this case, let's just say the Zulu player will be going first. Each turn has 4 phases. So let's go on to phase 1 to see what you have to do in phase 1. Alright, so phase 1, you draw 2 cards from your objective deck and pick one, but you would actually be secretive about it and not just showing it like that. The card you didn't pick would be put back into the deck, and then you would shuffle. The one you picked, you're going to keep in front of you like that until you complete the objective, which is whatever it says. It's a different one per each card, and when you complete the objective, it can be even outside your turn. Just say, hey, look, I completed this. You flip it up, and you gain the reward, and you put it on the side of the game, because they will no longer be used. Now let's say you start phase 1 and you have an objective card, like you still have one. You may choose to put it back in the deck and then wait until next turn, because when it's phase 1 and you don't have an objective card, then you draw 2 and pick one all over again, just like that. So basically, if you don't like the card you have, you can put it back in the deck in hopes of drawing a better one next turn. So yeah, basically everything is explained right there on the screen. On your first turn only, after drawing the 2 objective cards you normally draw, you may choose to return both to the deck, then shuffle, and draw 2 new cards. Keep one, put the other in the deck. And yeah, this ability can only be used once per player and only during the first round. Now it is phase 2. So phase 2 is where you spend your resources, the currency I've been talking about. In the beginning of the game, both players start with 15 resources. So, you spend your resources to recruit units. Unit costs are listed on their respective unit cards, which I showed earlier. You may purchase as many units as you can afford. British players can only recruit British units, and Zulu players may only recruit Zulu units. When you're all done spending, then deploy all the units that you bought to your capital. All these squares on the board are called regions, by the way. You don't have to spend all your money on the first turn though. If you want, you can wait until next turn And then when that turns phase 2 hits, you can just buy again. Or just save up money for a stronger unit later. Remember that completing objectives gives you resources that you can spend to make more units. Next, you may move your units to an adjacent region, diagonally, up, down, left, right, any direction. Just move them there. You cannot have more than 3 units in the same region though. 3's the max. Then the final phase is phase 4, actions. You can either build, stand by, or attack. So each unit may do an action, and those are the options, but they cannot attack if they move that turn. This Zulu unit has taken 2 damage. If you did a standby action this turn, they would stay put and receive a lost piece of damage. So they would only have 1 damage. And then next turn, if you did another standby, they'd be fully healed. You can see how much morale a unit has, which is the blue number, on the unit token or one of the unit cards. They cannot go over their morale, their normal morale number. So standby only heals if they've actually taken damage. If you're attacking, flip the unit you are attacking with so that the numbers are showing. Normally it'd be the other way around. And make sure there's an enemy actually next to you that you want to attack. The Zulu warriors that are being attacked have not been revealed yet. So the British player will have to assign which unit he is attacking without knowing. Each unit can only attack once per turn, but can be attacked multiple times in the same turn. Let's say these Zulus were already revealed for some reason. Then the British infantryman would choose who he'd attack while knowing, instead of just guessing. Either way, the unit that you're attacking gets flipped over so you can see its numbers. You wouldn't have to flip it over obviously if it was already flipped over. And then each person would deal damage equal to their strength to the other person's morale. So this infantryman would take 2 hits to morale, and the Zulu Impi would take 2 hits to their morale as well. This is explained on the unit reference cards, but if you move a scout adjacent to an enemy and they are alone, then you're going to flip the scout over, and then you're also going to see all adjacent enemies. So basically revealing them, and that is how you basically reveal the enemies. Now there is a buff on one of the reference cards that has to do with this, so you should look at the reference cards to see how this impacts combat. For example, attacking with multiple units against the same unit from different directions gives a buff, so make sure you're paying attention to buffs. If the scout were to move away like he's doing now, the other guys would just flip back down again. Let's go back to this scenario, and let's say instead of the British infantryman attacking an already revealed enemy, let's say that these 2 Impi warriors are attacking an already revealed British unit. And let's say the Zulu player is sending both of his Impis against that 1 infantryman. Then the infantryman would take 2 damage and then give the other Impi 2 damage. And then the other Impi would damage the infantry, dealing another 2 damage, killing the infantryman. But then the infantryman would do 2 damage to the other Impi. Now that the infantryman has died, the attacking Zulus can take the region that the guy was occupying. Now let's say you're a defender and you survived an attack, then you can move that defender into a region not adjacent to an enemy unit. Alright, we're almost done. So as an action, one of them is build. You can make a unit build. When a unit builds, choose a structure in which it will construct, and then place that building's token on it with the hammer side up to symbolize that you're building it. You can look at the reference cards to see how long each building takes to build and what it does. So yeah, the build turns include when you start a construction. And when you're done, flip it over to the side without the hammer on it. The turns are including yours and your opponent's. So this Zulu player, to build this building that takes 2 turns, you'd finish the turn that you can start a construction, and then the British turn, and then you'd go. If a unit that is, you know, in the middle of building something gets attacked, moves, or attacks, then it loses 1 turn's worth of building progress on that building. And if they're wiped out, then the building just stops getting made. You take off the token entirely. Each player can only have 3 forts, 1 watchtower, and 1 outpost, which is the exact amount you're given in the beginning of the game. So that helps you know your limits. All the buildings can be built by both players, Zulu and British, and can be used by whoever owns the region. So if you take over a fort that the enemy built, you can use it. It's your fort now. And to win the whole game, complete 4 objective cards. So yeah, that's the whole game explained in less than 10 minutes about. Alright, bye. Thank you for all that niceness. Okay.